I'm getting fine by the day, baby. What you waiting on? See. You gonna wait till I get real fine, and I'm gonna pay you no mind when I get real fine.
Private school, expensive. Private hospital, expensive. Private jet, expensive. But you want my private part for free? Ah! Hey!
This is Rashawn Wallace, a 30-year-old licensed nurse and mother who on one quiet Sunday morning in Jackson, Mississippi, put a bullet in her husband's stomach and watched him die on the floor of the house they shared with their children. And the thing that started all of it was not money, was not another person caught in the act, but one single friend request on a social media account. Before this video is over, you are going to understand exactly how something that small turned into something that permanent, and why the law in Mississippi might actually let her walk away a free woman. Before we get into what went wrong between these two people, we need to understand who they actually were, because every story that ends the way this one ended has a beginning that looks nothing like a crime.
You ain't the one for me, baby. You ain't got shit I need. You want me to take my time with you. Maybe I'm at your speed. Maybe I'm at your lead. You ain't even got no cheese. Well, maybe I'm just too G for you. Maybe I'm just too free. I can't even roll in peace. Everybody notice me. I can't even go to sleep. I'm rolling home the beam. They trying to get me. Ain't got on my knees like Jesus, please. He don't believe in Jesus. Why you got a Jesus key? If you wanna leave the sleep, but you ain't gotta lie to me. Even the blind can see that you ain't gonna ride for me. You ain't showing me the love you said you got for me. There ain't no loyalty, you lied to me. You said that you gon' ride for me. Tell me again, my baby.
Rashawn Wallace was 30 years old at the time everything happened, living in Jackson, Mississippi in a real and tight-knit community of working people who were just out here trying to build something decent for themselves and their families. She was not sitting around doing nothing with her life either. She had a whole career going in healthcare, having made a deliberate choice to spend her working hours taking care of sick and vulnerable people. Every single news report that covered this story identified her as a licensed practical nurse, which in America they shortened to LPN. But even before she earned that nursing license, she was already putting in real work in the care industry. A professional profile published on June 13, 2024 described her as a driven certified nursing assistant with extensive experience in patient care and emergency response, with hands-on experience at Brandon Court Nursing Home in Brandon, Mississippi, which sits right next door to Jackson in the same metro area. This was a woman who had built her entire professional reputation around helping people survive their worst moments, trained to stay calm and take action when things got critical. So hold on to that detail because it is going to matter a great deal when we get to what she did in the immediate aftermath of the shooting.
I know from the way she screamed at me.
Now, let us talk about Damian Reed, because his story deserves exactly the same respect and attention. Damian was 33 years old, born on May 16, 1991, and he lived at the same address as Rashawn on Brook Hallow Drive in Jackson's Hinds County area. This is worth saying clearly because these were not two people who had separated or who were living on different sides of town pretending to be together. They were fully under the same roof, sharing a life and raising 3 children together, with the oldest appearing to be around 10 years old at the time all of this happened. That means this relationship went back at least a decade, 10 years of shared history, children's birthdays, school runs, and Sunday mornings just like the one that ended up destroying everything. That is the first thing you need to carry with you through this whole video, because these were real people with deep roots and children who are now going to grow up carrying the weight of what happened inside that house. There was also something important to say before we move into the events of that Sunday morning. No public records show any prior history of domestic violence complaints, restraining orders, or criminal history connected to either Rashawn Wallace or Damian Reed before February 23, 2025. The police had never been called to that address. There was no paper trail of trouble between these two people, and as far as anyone on the outside could tell, this was a completely normal family living a completely normal life in a normal neighborhood in Jackson.
I woke up, had a dream about P. He like, yo, shit jammy. Yeah, it slaps low key. He say, I got a deal for you, so come fuck with me. I almost dropped a tear. Damn near, couldn't even see. I'm like, bet. I went and got my tickets and I hopped up on the jet. I'm so thankful, Lord, I ain't stopped to thank him yet. A moment in my life that I won't ever forget. He gave me a break that he won't ever regret. I'm taking out Pum, bitch, I'm up next. Wrist, Fiji water, diamonds you can forget. Black taking over, I ain't cutting no slack. Gotta run up a check, I'm at you bitches neck, ayy.
If I put this wig in my head, it's over. If I put this wig in my head, it's over. If I put this wig in my head, it's over. But you bitches, cause that bitch finna be mad.
But here is the detail that changes everything, and this is where you need to pay close attention because it is the thread that pulls the whole story apart. Damian had access to Rashawn's social media accounts, not because he hacked her phone or did anything illegal, but simply because he had the access. Whether she gave him the passwords, or he regularly used her phone, or it was some kind of arrangement they'd built between themselves over the years, none of that is in the public record. What we do know is that he could go into her accounts whenever he felt like it, and on one particular Sunday morning he went in and found a friend request that she had sent to somebody. That friend request set off rage in Reed, and the argument that started with that friend request started climbing towards something that words alone were not going to contain. It went from verbal to physical, and according to Rashawn, Reed allegedly moved toward her in a way that felt threatening enough that she believed she could not simply walk away from what was happening. And here is where Rashawn Wallace made the decision that is now at the center of a murder charge. She had a gun and she chose to use it, but this is where the headlines almost always skip over the most important detail in the whole sequence of events. She did not go straight to the fatal shot because she fired a warning shot first, a shot not aimed at him but designed entirely to stop him in his tracks and communicate in the clearest possible way that if he kept moving toward her, this situation was about to become irreversible. And Reed, according to what Rashawn told the police, did not stop. He refused to back down and kept coming toward her even after that shot rang out through that house. So she fired again, and this time there was no warning because she shot him in the stomach. Rashawn did not run or call someone to help her build a story for when the police arrived. The moment Reed went down, Rashawn started performing CPR on him, called 911 herself, and stayed at that house waiting for the officers to show up. She immediately switched into the professional mode that her entire nursing career had built in her and tried to bring him back to life. Meanwhile, at least one of their children was inside that house while all of this was happening. According to the police, the child was not physically hurt, but who was there in that home and who heard or saw something that no child should ever have to experience. When the police arrived at Brook Hallow Drive, they found Rashawn on the scene, cooperative and not attempting to flee, with Reed already gone. She was arrested on the spot and formally charged with murder.
Well, 30-year-old Rashawn Wallace has been arrested in connection to a that left one man. Now, this happened around 11 this morning in the 5300 block of Brook Hallow Drive. Now, 33-year-old Damian Reed was pronounced on the scene. Wallace is being charged with. This is still an open investigation, so if you have any information on this crime, you are asked to call Crime Stoppers or JPD.
The case was no longer just a domestic argument that went wrong inside a private home, but a full homicide investigation, with officers, detectives, and eventually the city's police chief all weighing in publicly on what had happened and what it was going to mean legally for Rashawn. The very next day, on Monday, February 24, 2025, Rashawn made her first court appearance at Jackson Municipal Court, the court in Mississippi that handles first appearances and bond decisions for serious charges before the case moves up to the higher court. She was formally charged with murder in front of the judge. Now, this is where a lot of people in the comment sections online had a very strong reaction because the bond was set for $50,000 for a murder charge, and she posted that bond and walked out of the Hinds County Detention Center in Raymond, Mississippi, not long after the hearing.
The woman who allegedly shot and killed her husband was given a $50,000 bond in Jackson Municipal Court today. Police say around 11:30 yesterday morning, 30-year-old Rashawn Wallace and 33-year-old Damian Reed after he allegedly attacked her. It happened on Brook Hallow Drive in Jackson. Wallace is charged with.
Before you react to that number, understand that bond amounts are not verdicts and say nothing about guilt or innocence because they are based on factors like flight risk and community ties. But it is still hard not to sit with the contrast between the permanence of what happened to Reed and the woman who shot him being back outside within 24 hours. Now, let us talk about what the investigation actually revealed to the public, because this part of the story has a frustrating but honest answer. Not very much at all. Everything the public knows about what happened inside that house comes exclusively from what the Jackson Police Department chose to share with local news reporters in the first few days after the shooting, and it has not grown beyond that since. What they told the public at a press conference the day after the incident came largely from Jackson Police Chief Joseph Wade, who confirmed that Reed had access to Wallace's social media account, that he found a friend request she had sent, that the argument turned physical, and that she produced a weapon and shot him in the stomach. He said, "We have got to do better as a community as we navigate these relationships, and now her family is broken, his family is broken. My understanding is a child was in the home as well. So now that child is going to be dealing with generational trauma as she moves forward in life." That phrase, generational trauma, is the most honest and complete thing anyone in an official position said about this whole situation. Because the damage from that Sunday morning did not stop with Reed and is not limited to the adults at the center of the story. It is living inside those children right now, today, in ways that will show up in their lives for decades to come. This case was just one of 14 homicides recorded in Jackson from January through the end of February 2025, with 9 of those happening in February alone. So Chief Wade was not just speaking about Rashawn and Damian, but about a city watching too many families tear themselves apart from the inside. Now here's the legal reality that Rashawn's entire future is going to rest on, so pay close attention to this part. Mississippi's self-defense laws live in a section of the state's legal code called Mississippi Code Annotated, Section 97-3-15. And this law covers when a killing is considered legally justified, meaning the person who did it cannot be punished for murder because the law recognizes what they did as a reasonable act of survival. Mississippi has 2 powerful protections built into this law, the first being the Castle Doctrine, and the second being Stand Your Ground. Under Stand Your Ground in Mississippi, a person who did not start the physical confrontation and was not doing anything illegal has no legal obligation to try to escape before using deadly force. The jury in Mississippi is specifically not allowed to use the fact that a person did not run as proof that their use of force was wrong or excessive, which is a massive legal protection for Rashawn's defense team. Even if she could have run out the front door that morning, a Mississippi jury legally cannot hold that against her. But there is a real and serious problem in her case that her lawyers are going to have to deal with directly. The Castle Doctrine has a specific exception that removes its strongest protection in situations exactly like this one. Because while the Castle Doctrine creates an automatic legal assumption that if someone enters your home illegally, you had every right to fear for your life, that assumption does not apply when the person you shot is a legal resident of the same home. Damian Reed lived there, and it was his house too. So Rashawn cannot walk into court leaning on the Castle Doctrine, and instead has to prove the harder version of self-defense, showing that she had a genuine and reasonable belief she was about to be seriously hurt or killed, and that she was not the one who turned things physical first. That is a more difficult argument to win in front of a jury, but it is far from impossible, especially because her own account to police includes the details of the warning shot. That detail matters because it shows a sequence of events rather than a single explosive decision, showing that she did not pull the trigger the moment things got heated, that she tried to stop the situation with a lesser act first, and that she only fired the fatal shot when that did not work. A good defense attorney can build something real and credible with that sequence, and whoever is representing Rashawn in that courtroom will almost certainly put the warning shot at the center of everything they argue. As of April 2026, there is no publicly available trial date, no grand jury decision, no plea deal, and no resolution of any kind in any searchable public record. The case is somewhere inside the Hinds County court system, moving at the slow pace that serious legal cases tend to move, completely invisible to everyone following it from the outside, and offering no answers to the people who want them. Damian Reed's funeral was held on Monday, March 3, 2025, at Jackson Memorial Service at 1000 West Woodrow Wilson Avenue in Jackson, with burial following at Garden Memorial Park Cemetery. What we are left with is a story that has no ending yet, where a man is dead, a woman is charged with killing him, their children are somewhere in Mississippi right now living with something no amount of time fully erased. And the question that lit the whole thing on fire, who Rashawn sent that friend request to and why it mattered so much to Reed that he could not let it go, has never been answered publicly and may never be. The only thing that is certain is that a family which was alive and together on February 22, 2025 was completely destroyed by the next morning, and it all started with something as small and ordinary as a notification on a phone screen. What do you think the argument could possibly have been about? Let me know in the comments section. Also, click on one of the cards on your screen to see more videos like this. See you in the next one.